Shade gardening is especially difficult in areas with a high deer population. If you're seeking for deer-resistant shade plants, here are a couple with textures and tastes that these beasts prefer to shy away from. Although no plant can be considered entirely deer-resistant. Number 1. Ligularia. Even though deer don't bother this shade plant, Ligularia's enormous dark green foliage and spikes of bright yellow flowers won't flourish in dry conditions. Mulch the plants so that the soil stays moist. Use Ligularia along a shady stream bank, in a rain garden, or at the edge of a pond. This plant flourishes in zone 4 to 9. Number 2. Bergenia. Bergenia is an excellent choice for a shade garden because to its trusses of pink blooms perched on glossy, heart-shaped leaves. Commonly known as pig squeak due to the squeaking sound made by rubbing the leaves together. Bergenia are evergreen in the southern half of their area. Soil should be rich, wet, and well-drained for optimal growth. This plant can survive in zones 4 to 9. Number 3. Brunnera. Also called Siberian bugloss, Brunnera macrophylla is prized for its brilliant heart-shaped leaves and sky blue spring flowers. Plants eventually produce dense clusters that spread via creeping rhizomes and self-seeding. Deer typically avoid them due to their prickly leaves. The hardiness zone range for this plant is 3 to 8. Number 4. Pachysandra. Plants with glossy, thick leaves are often ignored by deer. That's why Pachysandra is so useful as a shade plant in areas frequented by these animals. This tenacious, deer-resistant shade plant spreads swiftly by underground runners, eventually forming an impenetrable carpet of dark green or variegated leaf. The hardiness zone range for this plant is 4 to 9. Number 5. Bottlebrush Buckeye. Bottlebrush Buckeye is a great flowering shrub for gloomy areas since it is resistant to deer. In early June, this native plant will blanket your garden in spikes of pure white flowers, full of nectar that will draw swarms of butterflies. In the fall, the leaves take on a brilliant yellow hue. Soil should be somewhat moist and rich with nutrients. This plant can live in zones 4 to 8. Number 6. Epimedium. Epimedium, often known as barrenwort or bishop's hat, is a great deer-resistant shade ground cover. It spreads gently, covering the ground with a bright carpet of heart-shaped blooms and foliage. Epimedium comes in a wide range of colors and patterns, from lavender to yellow to white blossoms and patterned leaves. This plant can live in zones 4 to 8. Number 7. Windflower. Windflower is a deer-resistant shade plant with snow white or pink flowers that appear to sway in the slightest breeze. In April and May, this low-maintenance perennial bursts forth with a profusion of daisy-like blooms. The slow growth of windflower allows it to develop expansive mats of beautiful foliage and blossoms. This plant can live in zones 4 to 8. Number 8. Foamflower. Tyrella cordifolia, also known as foamflower, is a beautiful addition to any border that receives partial shade and is resistant to deer. This charming little plant blooms profusely in pink or white throughout the late spring and has reddish-bronze leaves in the fall. When planted in a forest, this native species will thrive and spread to cover the ground. The hardiness zone range for this plant is 3 to 9. Number 9. Skimmia. Scented white spring blooms and clusters of crimson fruits on female plants in the fall make Skimmia one of the few shade-loving shrubs worth growing. Shade-loving broadleaf evergreen Skimmia is resistant to browsing by deer and makes a lovely floral hedge or foundation plant. This plant has a hardiness range of 6 to 9. Number 10. Columbine. Columbine is a deer-resistant shade plant with lovely, star-shaped flowers perched atop wiry branches that sway gracefully in the wind. Individual columbine plants can be short-lived, but they self-sow readily and eventually make huge drifts of color. The hardiness zone range for this plant is 3 to 9. Well, thanks for watching video from Catchy Garden. Don't forget to click like and subscribe button to always support our channel. You can also turn on the notification bell to get the latest videos from us. We'll see you in the next videos.